Hello students, welcome to tutoringcluster.com. Now, this is a part number 2 from MCQ series, and in this video we are going to discuss about some important MCQs on unit number 2, that is Introduction to Thermal Engineering. So hope you have seen my previous videos. I have already uploaded the MCQs on unit number 1 and as well as a part 1 of MCQ on unit number 2. So you can find the link of those videos in the description box. So hope you are preparing well for your upcoming exams. So let us see some important MCQs. Now, the first one, a science dealing with a rate of transfer of heat energy is what? It is a heat transfer, right? So we have seen what do you mean by an heat transfer. So basically it is a transfer of heat energy from higher to low temperature gradient, right? And we have also seen what are the different modes of heat transfer like conduction, then we are having a convection, and we are having what? A radiation, right? So basically conduction, it takes place in solid, liquid, as well as in gases. When we talk of a convection, so it takes place in fluids, so liquid and gases, while radiation, it does not require any medium, does not require any medium, right? So basically it is what? It's electromagnetic waves which are radiated by the material which are at higher temperature, right? For example, energy radiated from the sun, right? So it is a type of radiation. So I have made already a detailed video, right? So you can find the link of those videos in the description box. I have separate video. I have already uploaded a separate video on conduction, convection and radiation, in which we have also seen what are the different practical examples and different laws which are related to these modes of heat transfer. So if you remember, so basically in conduction, we have talked about a Fourier law, right? Fourier law of heat conduction. In case of convection, we talk of Newton's law of cooling, right? And in case of radiation, we have talked about Stefan Boltzmann law. Stefan Boltzmann law, right? So we will see further MCQs. So there we are going to see again the mathematical expression of this. So remember, for time being, these are the important points. Now, next is the heat can be transferred from one substance to another substance. So just now we have seen either by conduction or by convection or by radiation. So what do you mean by a conduction? So basically, in case of conduction, whenever the two substances which are in physical contact with each other, in that the conduction may take place, or it can be a transfer of it from one part of substance to another part of same substance. So that is about conduction. Now, what do you mean by a convection? So basically, convection, it is what? It is a process of heat convection. It is due to what? Capacity of moving the matter to carry the heat energy. So basically, when we talk of conduction, there is no movement of matter. But in case of convection, movement of matter takes place. For example, when you are boiling the water, boiling of water. Okay, we have seen this. So how water movement takes place, right? So basically, moving matter, it carries the heat energy. And radiation, as I told, it is due to what? Electromagnetic radiation. This is due to what? Electromagnetic radiations which are emitted by the body. right? So when we talk of a wavelength of this radiation, it is zero point 0.1 micron to 100 micron. Okay, and what is 1 micron? 1 micron is 10 to the power minus 6 meter, right? So this is about a wavelength, right? So these are the different things one should know about different modes of heat transfer. If you want more in detail, you can go and watch the complete video series. Next, there is not an appreciable movement of molecules during heat transfer from one part of substance to its another part is called as what? Conduction. Just now we have discussed. Right. So in case of conduction, there is no appreciable movement of molecules. Right. In case of convection, okay, moving matter basically carries the energy. There. Next, dash does not require any medium. Okay, so basically radiation, it does not require any medium, right? Okay, next question. Question number 5. Fourier law of heat conduction is mathematically expressed as. Okay, so basically Fourier law, what it says, let's say you are having a block. So let's say this end, it is at T1 degree Celsius, which is at higher temperature, and this end it is at T2. So heat is going to flow like this from higher temperature to lower temperature. So let's say this is the thickness of the wall. Let's say it is delta X, and the area which is perpendicular to heat flow. Okay. So let's say it is capital A. So according to this law, the heat flow per unit time, it is directly proportional to temperature gradient. It is directly proportional to the area which is perpendicular to direction of heat flow, and it is inversely proportional to the thickness. So if you are going to combine this, okay, this is what rate of heat transfer, which is directly proportional to A delta T upon delta X. So when you are going to remove this, we are going to take constant, which is called as thermal conductivity of material, which is denoted by K. What is K here? Thermal conductivity. Okay, again I am explaining. It is what? A thermal conductivity of material. Delta T, basically it is a temperature gradient. Okay, so T2 minus T1. Delta X, it is what? So delta X, it is what? A thickness of wall. And what is area? A is what? Area, but it is perpendicular to the direction of flow. Okay, why negative sign? Because you are having T2 minus T1, right? So it is flowing from higher to lower temperature. So basically it shows the direction. It shows the direction. Okay, so quickly we will revise the units. So basically Q, it is in watt. Delta T, it can be degree Celsius or it can be a Kelvin. A meter square. Then the thickness will be in meter. So what will be unit of K? Unit of K, it will be watt per meter degree Celsius or it can be watt per meter Kelvin. Right, so this is a mathematical expression for Fourier law. So hope this law is clear to everyone. So if you are new to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe. You can also join us on Telegram channel. You can find the link of Telegram channel in the description box. So where I basically use to give the updates, maybe of the videos which I am uploading, as well as I have uploaded handwritten notes. You can find the link of those notes from first to fourth unit in the description box or on the Telegram channel. You can also join us on Facebook. So just now we have seen the question number 6, unit of thermal conductivity. It is what? Watt per meter Kelvin, right? Okay. Next, question number 7. So the heat conduction Q through the wall of thickness X having the temperature difference T1 minus T2. So how it is given? So it will be option number B. Q is equal to Ka T1 minus T2 upon X. If you want to give a negative sign, minus Ka T2 minus T1 divided by X. Right? Okay. Next one. So hope you are finding this videos useful. Now, thermal resistance of heat flow by conduction is. So according to Fourier law, you are having minus K or let's say plus K delta T by delta X. So minus negative sign, it is showing the direction. So I can write this as delta T upon delta X upon K, right? So what are these values basically? Q, it is a rate of heat transfer. It is a rate of heat transfer. Now why heat is getting transferred? It is due to a temperature gradient. It is due to a temperature gradient. So this is the driving force for heat to flow. And delta X by K, it is basically a thermal resistance. It is called as thermal resistance. Right? This is a very important concept. So delta X, or you can say X upon K. Right? So hope you have understood. Let us see question number 9. Now it is asking a convective thermal resistance is given by. So we have in case of convection, what is the formula? HA delta T. So again, delta T upon 1 upon HA. Right? It will be 1 upon HA. Right? So again, this is the rate of heat transfer. Delta T, it's a temperature gradient, which is driving force for heat to flow, and 1 upon HA, it is denoting basically a resistance to heat. Okay, so we are going to relate this with Ohm's law, V is equal to IR. We will see that in upcoming MCQs. So hope this part is clear. What is meant by a thermal resistance in case of conduction and in case of convection. Now, heat transfer, it takes place according to, this is a very good question. So we have seen the zeroth law of thermodynamics, which defines the temperature. Okay. First law of thermodynamics, it talks of heat and work transfer. So basically, zeroth law, it defines the temperature. Okay. Now, first law of thermodynamics basically talks of heat and work transfer, and it is a direction less law. We have seen that it is what? A directionless law. So it does not talk of from where heat is flowing, higher to lower or lower to higher temperature. But second law of thermodynamics, it is a direction. It gives the direction of heat flow. It gives the direction of heat flow. And how heat is flowing? Heat flows from higher to lower temperature generally. Okay. So direction of heat flow. So basically heat transfer, how heat transfer takes place from high to low temperature. So basically heat transfer, it takes place according to second law of thermodynamics. Okay, this is also a question. This has been asked in engineering service exam. Right, so this is very conceptual question. You may expect such type of question. Okay, let's say if difficulty level has to increase, then such type of question, tricky question can be asked. So hope you have understood that heat transfer takes place according to second law of thermodynamics. Now, match the following. Okay, Stefan Boltzmann law, Newton's law of cooling, and these are the mathematical expressions. So these are the laws of heat transfer, and this is what? It's a mathematical expression. Okay, please check whether you can answer this question. So Stefan Boltzmann law. Okay, temperature to the power 4. So this will be 4. Newton's law of cooling, Q is equal to HA delta T. So this will be 1. Fourier law, Q is equal to Ka delta T by delta X, or it can be L. And Kirchhoff law, basically E is equal to alpha into EB. So E is emissive power of a body. EB, here emissive power of black body, and alpha, it is absorptivity. Right? Alpha is absorptivity. So basically, this will be 2 Kirchhoff law. So 4132. 4132. Okay, option A only. Okay, so such type question can be asked, right? Next question. Okay, using a thermal electrical analogy in heat transfer. So previous question, both the previous questions were engineering from I have taken from engineering services. Okay, so using thermal electrical analogy, this is also an IES question. Okay, so basically thermal and electrical analogy. See, we know what is Ohm's law. V is equal to I into R. V is voltage. Okay, potential difference. I is what? Current. R is resistance. So what will be I? I is equal to V upon R. So basically this is a current flow. V, it is a driving force to flow the current, and R is resistance. Now, same analogy, let's say you are having a Fourier law Ka delta T upon delta X or L. So you are writing Q, it is a heat flow. Just now we have seen delta T upon delta X upon K. So I can relate I with respect to Q. So this is a current flow, flow is there. So this is a heat flow. Then V, it is a driving force in case of electricity. Here driving force is temperature gradient. And R, it is a resistance, electrical resistance, and thermal resistance will be delta X upon K. So let us see. So voltage, it will be related to temperature. Then current, it is related to heat flow, resistance, thermal resistance, and capacitance. It is what? Thermal capacity. Okay, so this is a very important concept, how you can relate thermal science with electrical. Now, let us see a next question, question number 13, again from IES, Engineering Service Exam. So you can search those who are interested for government job, they can also see at least in first year, you can have the knowledge of these various competitive exams, what are the syllabus, so you can plan accordingly. Okay, so list 1 and list 2 are given. So Fourier law, we have seen it is related to conduction. Stefan Boltzmann law, it is related to radiation. Newton's law of cooling, it is related to convection. And Fick's law, basically, last option, it is related to mass transfer. Okay, so basically this is what 2, 4, 3, and 1. 2, 4, 3, 1. 2, 4, 3, 1. Right. Okay. Right. So next is the function of steam drum in a boiler. So I will be making a separate video on the boiler. You can find the video in the playlist. So in that I will be explaining the things you should know about boilers. So there I will go in detail. So basically boiler is what? Basically it is a device which produces pressurized steam, that is also called as a steam generator, you can say. It produces a steam generator. Okay, so there are different types of boiler, right? You are having water tube boiler, fire tube boiler. We will talk in detail in upcoming MCQs. So basically a steam drum, it separates the steam from water. Okay, steam drum, it separates the steam from water. If you talk of density of steam and water, so when you are heating water, due to heating the water, what happens is its density, it decreases, it becomes light, it becomes light. Okay, so heating the water, that means when you are converting it into a steam, that steam, it becomes light and it can get stored in the upper part. While let's say this is a steam drum. Okay, so if we are heating this, and let's say you are having the water here, so when water is going to get heated up, it becomes steam and it starts moving in upward direction. So this is basically a scenario in case of steam drum. On the upper side, you are having a steam, high pressurized steam, and on the lower side you are having water. So you can take down this steam and you can use it wherever it is required. Okay, so that is how basically steam drum looks. Okay, so it separates the steam from water. So at least you have got the idea what is steam drum and what is happening inside this steam drum. Now, which one is not a fire tube boiler? Okay, let us understand first. So basically the boilers can be classified as water tube boiler, water tube boiler, and a fire tube boiler. Okay. Now, what do you mean by a water tube? Now, water tube means, so this is a tube, consider this is a tube. So inside the tubes, if there is water, and outside the tube, outside this tube, let's say you are having a flue gases, hot flue gases. So this is a flue gas, and this is what? This is a water. So water is inside the tube. That's why it is called as water tube boiler. Now, what are examples of water tube boiler? For example, you are having a Babcock. The example, okay, example Babcock Wilcox boiler or Stirling boiler. These are the examples of water tube boiler. Simple, water is inside the tube and flue gases around it. Now, reverse of this. Let's say inside the tube you are having a flue gases. Inside the tube, let's say you are having a flue gases. So these are the flue gases, and water is surrounding to it. Water is surrounding to it. Okay, so this is water and flue gases will be inside the tube. That's why it is called as fire tube boiler. Now, what are the examples of this? Example is Cochrane boiler or Lancashire boiler. This is also one example. So you have to remember these names. Okay, sometimes you will get that Lancashire boiler is which type of boiler. Okay, such type of question can be asked. So hope you have understood what you mean by a water tube and fire tube boiler. Right. So now the question is, which is not a fire tube boiler? So Babcock and Wilcox, it is not a fire tube boiler. Okay, it is a water tube boiler. Right. So this concept is clear. If you find this video useful, please do like the button. You can also write in the comment box. Now, in case of fire tube boiler, we have seen this hot gases passing through the tube surrounded by water. Then next question number 17, a Cochrane boiler. Just now we have seen Cochrane boiler. Basically, it is what? A fire tube boiler. It is what? Fire tube boiler, right? So such type of question may come. So you should know what are the different examples. Now, Lancashire boiler. So we have seen Lancashire boiler, basically it is a fire tube boiler. Okay, that we know. Now, what is internally fired and what is externally fired? Now, if furnace is inside the boiler, it is called as internally fired. Okay, see, firing means what? You are having the water, so you will have to heat this. So firing has to be there. So that will produce the heat. So water, it will going to get heated up and it is going to produce this steam. Okay, so the furnace is going to require to heat the water. So if that furnace is inside the boiler, it is called as internally fired boiler. If furnace is outside, it is a separate unit. Okay, and then you are taking the flue gases and then you are heating the water, that will be externally fired boiler. Okay, so Lancashire boiler, basically it is a internally fired and fire tube boiler, right? Okay, so hope this is the second classification. First we have seen based on what is flowing inside the tube, water tube and fire tube boiler. This is the second way of classifying where furnace is located. If furnace is inside the boiler, internally fired. If it is external, externally fired. Okay. So let us see the question number 19. Water after being pumped into the boiler cannot come out because of steam stop valve, feed check valve, safety valve, blow off valve. So it is due to a feed check valve. Now we are going to see a important point. What are boiler mountings? Okay, so there are two words. Water boiler mounting is there and accessories is there. Okay, so boiler mounting. These are basically a necessary device. These are the necessary devices which are mounted on the boiler for its safety and for better control. For better control. So these are must. These are necessary. Okay, and boiler accessories is the another part. Boiler accessories. These are increases basically the efficiency of it increases the efficiency of boiler. It increases the efficiency of boilers. So these are must boiler mountings. So what are different examples of boiler mountings? So you are having water gauge or water level indicator is there. Then you are having a pressure gauge. Okay. Then you are having a safety wall, steam stop wall, feed check wall, blow up wall. These are all boiler mountings. Okay. So obviously the functions will be different of each. For example, when we talk of a steam stop wall. Okay. So basically it regulates the steam supply. Then if you are having a feed check wall, then we have seen it stops the backflow of water. Then safety valve basically, let's say it releases the steam to the atmosphere if the pressure of steam exceeds the design pressure of boiler. So each have their own functions, right? And these are necessary devices for the boiler's safety and better control. So these are the two words, terminologies. One is boiler mounting and boiler accessories. So what comes under boiler accessories? So you are having an economizer. Economizer is there. Air preheater is there. Then you are having a superheater. Okay, so these are the various boiler accessories. It increases the efficiency of boiler, right? So hope you have understood the difference between boiler mounting and accessories. And please remember what are the different mountings and accessories. So the answer to the given question that water after being pumped into the boiler, it is what? Feed check. What? You can note down this point. This will be required for to deal with different questions, right? Okay. Now next question is which of the following it is a boiler mounting. So just now we have seen economizer, superheater, air filter. These are all boiler accessories. So basically fusible plug. Now what is the function of fusible plug? Where it is? So basically you will find fusible plug over the combustion chamber. Okay, combustion chamber means where we are going to heat. We are going to produce the heat to for what? For heating of water. Okay, so it is called as a combustion chamber. So basically, fusible plug, its function is to extinguish extinguish fire when water level is less than recommended. Okay, or water level is less than minimum level, you can say minimum level. Okay, so basically it saves the boiler from overheating. Okay, so that's why this is necessary, fusible plug, right? Okay, so you can note down the function of fusible plug and it is what? It is a boiler mounting, right? Next question, question number 21. In four-stroke petrol engine, during the suction stroke, mixture of fuel and air is sucked. Okay, so in case of petrol engine and you are having a petrol engine and a diesel engine, basically engine it is a power producing device. Okay, petrol engine as name suggests, it works on the petrol and diesel engine it is going to work on diesel. But both have a differences, petrol engine and diesel engine. I will make a separate video on that. So there we will see how the engine works and what happens during different strokes of engine. Okay, what happens during suction stroke, right? Then you are having compression stroke, expansion or power stroke and exhaust stroke. So I will make the detailed video of it. You can go and watch. Okay, so basically in case of four-stroke petrol engine, the very first stroke, suction stroke. So mixture of air and fuel, it gets sucked. Okay, so how piston moves, right? So I will make this separate video on it. So for timing, remember this, right? So I want to tell you here. So please go through differences between four-stroke petrol engine and four-stroke diesel engine, or sometimes you may have the SI engine and a CI engine. Okay, spark ignition, right? Spark ignition, or we can have the compression ignition engine. Okay, so please go through the differences you can find in any book. Okay, so I will try to make a video on this that will be useful for you, right? So in case of petrol engine, basically fuel and air it gets sucked, while in case of diesel engine, only air enters into the cylinder during a suction stroke, right? Next question, in case of CI engine, so as I told, SI engine, these are nothing but a petrol engine, and CI engine, these are basically a diesel engine. So SI, it stands for a spark ignition, and these are what? Compression ignition, right? So in case of CI engine, that means these are diesel engine, C diesel cycle. During the suction stroke, I told only air is sucked, right? Okay. So basically at the end of compression stroke, we are having a fuel injection pump here. So that injects the fuel and then combustion takes place. Okay, right. Next is question number 23. Following is an SI engine. So what is the SI engine? It is a petrol engine. Okay, plenty of questions are there on naming. So there are different names, right? So if you read once, that is more than enough, right? Now, which engine produces a more power for same compression ratio? Okay, so basically two-stroke petrol engine, it produces a more power for same compression ratio. Okay, remember this thing. Now, next question number 14. So basically, petrol engine, it is a compression ignition, spark ignition, mixed ignition, all of the above. It is what? SI engine, spark ignition, and compression engine, compression ignition. These are the CI, and these are what? Diesel engine, right? So hope you have understood all the 25 questions. This is the part number 2. I have already uploaded the part number 1. You can, if you still have not watched those videos, right? So you can go and watch. You will find the link in the description box. So hope you have understood all the questions. I have tried to cover up all the necessary points related to that question, that MCQ, as well as whatever options are there. So hope definitely this is going to help in your exam preparation. So please hit the notification bell, and if you still have not subscribed my YouTube channel, please do it. You can join us on Telegram, and also you can find us on Facebook. So thank you, and please don't forget to share with your friends also, so that they will also get benefited with this. Thank you.